Peace and salute, everybody. Today, I'll tell you in a second. Let's get it started.
Great Digi, the world's greatest mind, Bob Digital. Yo, try to cross-reference. Yo, the Great Digi, the world's greatest mind, Bob Digital. Yo, try to cross-reference my upper preference, fresh mint type length. You get trapped inside the monkey wrench. Ain't no man lover ever gonna silk the sailor. I'm blessed like the seed who sucked the milk from the Hellier. You wishing Shaolin Allen could be swallowed up by the sea, gobbled up like the lost city of Moon, Atlantis. But I'm fierce as the cyclone winds that blew through Kansas. Have your clan stranded on the enchanted land of Gumas, Oz Dubar, Jim Blue Star, Razor Blade Scar. Who dare wanna spar bar for bar? Allah, you Akbar. I turned the most degenerate hood into a pop star. Blessed is he who prays the most high without asking why. Flicks from ocean shore, kick like martial law. I might strike with the eagle claw or tiger paw on the shores of African beach, facing the east. White sand stretched out as far as the eye can see, bound every by the sea. The heat of a lost sun will crack through Antarctica. We ride blue whales who sail Nautical ships on the Carpenter. We should send all these devils back to hell. You small as the dot in my sentence, I speak with vengeance. Snatch up 17 million plus 2 million Indians. You're incorrect, bet your spec on the situation. You didn't know it was a Wu-Tang affiliation. Legs speak like twigs, you're forbidden like pig. You can't fuck with the zigzag zig. Raise your sword and praise the Lord. And raise the war on this wicked society. Raise your sword and praise the Lord. And raise the war on this wicked society. The village must be pillaged, the merciless. The earth is damp from blood spillage. Curse the ancestors and the seed of the assailant. Dissect his body like an alien. My seed must be spread. I bust sperm cells with bobsleds. Then race to the egg and bring forth the arm, leg, arm, head. All you niggas out there who got money better watch for the money hungry. Straight up. The most beloved from a region undiscovered. I've been hovered over by black buzzard walking through public. Imagine the feeling of growing up 10 children stuffed inside a shack in the project buildings. Women, infants, and coupons. One stove, Campbell soup on. Stressed out with 4 cans of water. Next door, the dope-fiend neighbor trying to sell his little daughter. Poisonous heat from the oven. The only way we had to live was surviving off mommy's loving. Dead bodies found in the incinerator. Lights out, somebody fuck with the generator. Talking welfare cheese, flakes and beans. Mud stains on mock neck, shirts and tainted jeans. Twisted up, how the fuck we get bended up and ended up in this 4-block radius where they enslaved us. Sweating for cheese raviolis with tomato sauce and anchovies spoiled. Aw shit, my blood boiled, but fuck that. I'm ready for open hand combat. It's the Tomcat, and my thoughts are unlimited, inflicting fatal wounds. And I'm immune to your evil society. So praise the Lord and raise the war against this wicked society. Society, praise the Lord and raise your sword against this wicked society. Society, praise the Lord and raise your sword against this wicked society. There was a legend of a liquid sword that was only built for niggas with Cuban links who enter the 36 chamber and keep the true links. Inherit the W emblem, movement of muscle changing and bone tendon bending. Science of 25,000 year millennium. Descendants from the men who exiled the Indians from India, whose time can't be measured linear. In all tribes on earth, you can't find a friendlier group of people who shun all evil, treat all men equal, even though we see through your wicked intentions. We gave you land to experiment with your inventions, but you strive for global lynching, extension. But it's a cell that will become extinct. You inherit this power to think and build things. The free will to love, not hate nor kill things. And when you went astray, we sent prophets to reveal things and left scriptures behind to fulfill things. But you still wanna kill things, rob and steal things. So don't blame us when it's time to fulfill things and kill kings. Raise the sword and praise the Lord on this wicked society. Raise your sword and praise the Lord. It's a wicked society. Praise the Lord and raise your sword against this wicked society. Raise the war against this wicked society. Yo, the sickness. That's what I want.
What are you looking for? No mother.
That's what I want.
What are you looking for? Man with no.
The world got like it.
Morning of the dead, evening of the killer kids, city of the gods, money stacked pyramids, esoteric knowledge and I'm criminal minded, a lady's wet dream and the devil's worst nightmare. Cause so help me God, I will exercise demons, see him scheming real hard, pop the cork on the Perry on, or turn the Henny on, spit my timeless flow, my priceless lexicon. Get at you like the Zetas when they come to cheddars. I set traps, I'm a predator, I pray I catch her. Black mafiosi, bro vigilante. That shit is sad, but it get me real trigger happy. So keep talking that, and I'ma part you 360 ways like Moses. And get the Red Sea flowing, that's an awful lot of blood. Look at how it keep pouring. It's very real, kid, keep your eyes open.
Stay on point, stay sharp, keep your mind focused.
This is all I got, this is everything.
We on that grind for that paper, nigga, every day.
But this one not for money, this one for the power.
Wash niggas up, throw 'em in them lead showers.
Just to get it rep, that be just for future reference.
This your final warning, the next will be your death sentence. I bang the billionaire heiress on the terrace. I'm from terrace, and sellers twist vanillas, switch bellas. The chain thick, big as precious. It's Texas, with the Lexus, disgruntled exes. Squeeze text, ambidextrous. The team repped it, clean the skeptic, peep the sketches. Keys to heavens, open the gates, choke the snake at a slow pace, drain the venom. My waves spinning, clean paper and my favorite denim. My lady friend came from Finland, I'm a gremlin with charges pending. I'm on the run, I'm getting winded. Ducking agents, cover acres, stuck in the matrix. Bucket naked, rush to touch bacon. When I awaken, your soul's taken, they need straightening. Escape the safe, fill it with Franklins. Spin the Lincolns, the rolls rolly look pinkish. We think it's frostbitten fingers. The law's written there in English.
This very real, kid, keep your eyes open.
Stay on point, stay sharp, keep your mind focused.
This is all I got, this is everything.
We on that grind for that paper, nigga, every day.
But this one not for money, this one for the power.
Wash niggas up, throw 'em in them lead showers.
Just to get it rep, that be just for future reference.
This your final warning, the next will be your death sentence.
Damn, the mic was off. Peace and salute, everybody. Kimba, Deion Sandals. Palmo a Palmo. Peace and salute. So I was going to read the Mayan Cosmology PDF, but it's 64 pages. I'm going to save that for a video, maybe 2 parts. I don't know. So I decided to read Aboriginal Cosmology, Night Skies. And it's about the big tree, the sky dome, and all that. So those who didn't make it to class, report to ISS in school suspension immediately. Huh. So it says Aboriginal Cosmology. Australian Aboriginal Cosmology, as with all cosmologies, changed and refined itself as Aboriginal people themselves changed and recast themselves. Their view of their world or universe by the time of white contact had developed, modified, and transformed itself over many thousands of years. And any attempts to reconstruct or recover a single version of their cosmology from the frozen frame of early anthropology or early anthropological accounts is, to say the least, challenging. Nevertheless, it is the case that their conceptions of their universes were constructed by them and reflected their particular social, economical, political, and aesthetic concerns at any particular time. Like us, they were involved in an ongoing formulation and reformulation of their cosmos, according to this guy Harrison. The universe are our models of the universe. They are the great schemes of intricate thought, grand cosmic pictures that rationalize human experience. These universes harmonize and invest with meaning the rising and setting of the sun, the waxing and waning moon, the jeweled lights of the night sky, the landscape of rocks and trees and clouds. Each universe is a self-consistent system of ideas, marvelously or organized, interlacing most of what is perceived and known. Wherever we find a human society, however primitive, there is a universe. And wherever we find a universe of whatever kind, there is a society. Both go together, and the one does not exist without the other. Each universe coordinates and unifies a society, enabling its members to communicate their thoughts and share their experiences. Each universe determines what is perceived and what constitutes valid knowledge, and the members of each society believe what is perceived and perceive what is believed. There are a few basic tenets that underpin a general understanding of Aboriginal cosmology and Aboriginal ideas about the universe, nature, and society, with all its cultural accountments. They spelled that wrong. Were formed at the same time by powerful creative spirits who wandered the earth during an eternal time, still existing. Known these days simply as the dreaming, these ancestral spirits still abound, but are usually no longer visible. Having withdrawn from human view into another space and time or realm, the earth and life itself were seen as having been in existence when the great creative powers began their business. However, these spirits are not seen as being omnipotent in the sense that humans, too, are considered to be co-creators. Their task is to maintain the ecological balance, being ultimately responsible for the ongoing harmony between natural and cultural systems, harmony and balance being seen as the keys to the health and continuity of the two systems. Aboriginal humans being have a responsibility to intervene where they consider intervention necessary and to leave things alone when they consider that necessary. Humans have the ability to adjust the system as well as throw it out of kilter. The sustaining effects are seen as ther- theoretically re- reciprocal. Theoretically reciprocal. If people work to support natural systems, attending as stewards to the continuity of various species, natural plenty is assured for the community of people and their cultural practices. Aboriginal ritual life, increase, initiatory, and mourning rites are thus concerned, at the level of ideology at least, with assurance of the continuity of life, the natural increase of species, increase or fertility rights, the social existence of persons, initiatory rights, and the ongoing nature of the spirit, mourning rights. These rituals seize upon traditions which may be naturally occurring, as with the flowering of trees from which nectar is obtained, or socially occurring, as with the making of men from boys. Life is seen as cyclical, as running a course, and it is the responsibility of ritual performers to keep natural and social cycles in motion. Aboriginal cosmology, then, is more than a creation theory about the origin and structure of this world. It involves as well a theory of human participation and action. The first chapter is the sky dome. Despite my cautionary notes about different cosmologies, it is occasionally possible to identify universal themes. Most Australian Aboriginal people held a common view of Earth as a flat disk surrounded by the boundless water of an ocean. Above this Earth disk was a solid vault or canopy. Beyond this vault was the sky world, a vast, plentiful, and beautiful place. The sky was a canopy covering all and coming down beyond the horizon to meet and enclose the flat surface on which men and women followed the fixed pattern of their lives. The sky dome or canopy was usually supported by props of one sort or another. Views about the constituted the props differed across the country. In the Australian Alps, for example, the vault was held up by trees, but on the New South Wales coast, the props appear also to have been solid wooden pillars, watched over and guarded by an old man. In some places, the stars, seen as star people, held the canopy up in conjunction with an emu whose camp was in the dark patch near the Southern Cross, known to Europeans as the coal sack. Myths told to Daisy Bates by people from the Great Australian Bight indicate that the sky dome was held up by a great tree known as Warda, which had to be protected at all times, an idea similarly held by groups in the East. It says, I'm going to read these little parts. It says, the sky dome was viewed as a vault above the disk Earth and is well documented in anthropological literature. All right, this is what, and then it says the vault itself was pictured as being composed of a very hard and durable substance. The Wiradjuri of northwestern Australia, for example, thought this substance to be rock or shell. Likewise, groups in Central Australia saw the dome as being a huge shell that covers the world during the hours of darkness. The whole sky is turned over by the two men, the older and younger guardians of the circumcision ceremony, who lived in the constellation of Scorpius. The vault delineated the edge of the sky world, which was thought to be the dwelling place of many ancestral spirits and heroes, who were also personified sources of energy, which informed and gave meaning to natural and cultural life. The sky world could be visited by men and women of high degree, traditional healers, and their great powers were seen to be connected to these energies. Whether the vault was experienced as being consistently or uniformly contained, bounded, or immutable is unclear. Chapter 2: Gaining Access to the Sky World. The sky world beyond the dome was envisaged as containing a hole, a window, or a fissure through which the traditional healers could gain entry. They usually gained access by climbing or pulling themselves up a connecting cord. The cord was seen variously as being hair, string, a rainbow, lightning, a spear, a grass rope, a tree, flames, a totem board, and a turtle. Among some Victorian groups, there was a view that people used to be able to climb up an immense pine tree, probably calitris, that's the name of the pine tree, up through its branches to the topmost ones, which reached the sky. They could walk about, indeed live on the starry vault. Those people who belonged to the sky could descend to earth and likewise visit friends before returning. Visits were made for purposes of barter between hunting grounds. The tree was viewed as a regular highway between earth and the upper regions. Around the Roper River area, among the Alawa people in the Northern Territory, the link was also a tree, but more specifically a large stringy bark. In an account of the Buindik people of South Australia, the healer, the Pango, climbed to the sky world quite regularly to visit and have social discourse with the sky people. Now I just pause for a second. They talk about a stringy long tree, and it reminds me of Devil's Tower, the way it has the octagon strings going up it. Think about that. Continue this. In essence, the notion of a cord or link in umbilicus should be recognized as part of a myth cycle involving the life-giving or life-sustaining, connecting the earth and the present with the world above, the eternal. It was also possible in some areas to gain access to the sky world by tunneling through the earth to the other side of the sea. A myth explaining the sky dome structure is told by the Mandal Bingu people of northern Arnhem Land, or Arnhem Land. They tell the story of the first sunrise, how long ago, the sky was so close to the earth, it shut out all light. Everyone had to crawl around in darkness until the magpies, regarded as one of the more intelligent species of birds, decided that by working together, they could raise the sky. Slowly using long sticks, they propped it on low boulders, then gradually onto higher boulders above their camp. As they struggled to lift the sky even higher, it suddenly split open to reveal the first sunrise. The beauty, light, and warmth delighted the magpies, or is it the magpies? I think it's the magpies, who burst into their distinctive warble. As they sang, the blanket of darkness broke into fragments and drifted away as clouds. Magpies, or it is said, still greet the sun with their call. Another myth from the headwaters of the Murrumbidgee River. Yeah, the Murrumbidgee River reiterates the same idea. The people from this region also emphasized the sky as once being very close to the earth, forcing people, plants, birds, and animals to crawl. One day, the wife of an important elder ran off with another man. Ouch. The elder took off after them. The couple took refuge in the waters of the river. In their search for them, the elder found a bright golden rod, which, when held up, grew, pushing the sky upward. Birds originally loath to leave their cramped sky also went up. The elder is still somewhere pushing up the sky, and when he gets tired, he lets the rod down. Whenever this happens, clouds cover the earth and fog spreads over the ground. The people from the Great Australian Bight in South Australia see things a little differently. In one of their stories, we'll say, they keep saying myths. That raises flags to me. In one of their stories, told that Daisy Bates' men and women of Dreamtime, Doogoor lived forever. Spelled Dhoogorr. That's got to be Doogoor. Doogoor. When they grew up tired of being on Earth, they simply walked back along the huge totem board, Kalaguru, which joined the Earth to Kalabu, the Sky Country. They could return to Earth whenever they wanted. There was also a third country, Jimbin, which lay beneath the Earth. The spirit babies not yet born lived in this country, but could only be born on Earth. After birth and after their first smile, the script children became human children and could also travel with their mothers back and forth to the Sky Country. As the story goes, this totem board track was destroyed by a group of children who allowed their cooking fire to get out of control when they camped halfway along it. So now, those who have gone to Kalabu, the Sky Country, must remain there forever, and those on Earth cannot join Kalabu comrades again. Death, it is said, came to humans for the first time. In other places as well, as in the Great Australian Bight, there was a notion of an underworld, which could be accessed by digging through the limited thickness of the earth. Amongst the Tiwi of Bathurst and Melville Islands in the Northern Territory, for example, the underworld was a place of complete darkness and contained a valley rimmed by two high stony ridges. Along the valley, the Sun Women, guided by the light of a glowing bark torch, traveled each night from the western to the eastern horizon. Nothing grew in the underworld. The Sun Woman's act of lighting, the Sun Woman's act of lighting the fire of the bark torch was the first light of dawn, and the clouds of sunrise were reddened by the dust of the powdered ochre she wore to decorate herself. The Moon Man also traveled along in the underworld valley by day and night, gave light to the stars above Earth. Chapter 3, the Sky World. Beyond the sky dome or canopy is the sky world. It is a dynamic and lively place, if somewhat mysterious. The sky world of the Yarralin people of the Northern Territory, for example, is conceived as being above the stars but below the sun and moon. It is the home of the lightning people. When lightning is seen in the sky, it is known that the lightning people are active, probably fighting. This sky world is also the world of the dead. But after some time, the spirit of a deceased person merges to become part of the collective lightning people. A former healer from this area has described how he was taken to the sky country for a fortnight when he was young. He described the place as peopled by men, women, and children. The women had long hair, smooth skin, like a snake, and very strong eyes, but had different insides. No fat, just grease, no blood. He said the sky country was far away, and it was dark and very windy. It was made clever by lightning, giving him powers of healing. The Tiwi of Melville and Bathurst Island divided the universe into four levels: the underworld, the earth on which they live, the upper world, and beyond that the sky world. The upper world had 2 seasons annually, a wet and dry. In the dry season, the upper world was the home of the man of thunderstorms, the women of the monsoonal rains, and the women of lightning. At the end of the dry season, these three moved to the sky world and in doing so, shed rain on the dry earth. While this was happening, the trees and plants of the upper world used the raindrops to send their spirits to the ground, where they grew into plants. Hence, all vegetation on the island emanated from spirits dropped from the upper world. The sky world was the place of the stars, the moon, and the sun. The Aranda of Central Australia viewed the sky world of the ancestors as being a land of natural riches and plenty, with the abundance of food. The linguist Ted Stralow, who grew up at Hermannsburg with Aranda people, described a kind of utopia from northern Aranda legends and chant verses. Young hunters in the sky world come home every night, weighed down to the limit of their strength with slaughtered wallabies tied together in bundles. The men charm the playful bandicoots by twirling their bull roarers so that they approach fearlessly and allow themselves to be caught and killed without any attempt to escape from their hunters. The whole Muga thicket is crowded with peacefully grazing kangaroos. The banks of the little creek are densely lined with dark green native orange trees, and the gleam of their golden fruits shines far and wide. Every creek and rill contains water. The plain is green with herbs and grasses. The mountains are decked brightly with a multicolored covering of wild flowers. The air is heavy, and the scent of eucalypts and acacia buds, clustering swarms of native bees hum around the pale yellow blossoms of the bloodwood trees, eager to collect the sweet honey. The rocky caves are filled with nimble wallabies, and in the burrows of the plains the sharp-nosed bandicoots are sporting carelessly. Fully throated cores of cicadas sing in the tall, white-barked river gums, and their red-golden bodies suffuse the dark foliage of the trees with a bright gleam, as though the gums themselves were all dripping with blood. From the clear sky, the eagle swoops down on his shrieking prey when the day stands at high noon, when the shadow of the waning day lengthens out towards the eastern horizon. The Euros hop down nimbly from the stone hills and come down to graze at the edge of the plain. Then the sun covers it, face with hair-string ornaments and dark draws on. The moon comes forth from the mountains like a proud young man. He wears a chaplet of gleaming white bandicoot tails. He stands at the edge of a clay pan and watches his bright face mirror in the silver ripples. and is lost in admiration at his own youthful comeliness. In the thick salt bush, the ceaseless plaintive chirp of the lonely cricket is sounding on into the silence of the night, and the emus shake their long necks as they come to the rock holes for a deep, cool draught. The red plain kangaroos assemble in groups to hold converse with their aunts, the moga parrots. Furthermore, men and women there men and women there never age. Those above live forever, immortal into the eternity. The sky world was frequently envisaged as containing much quartz crystal and fresh water, both being highly valued resources. There is also an intriguing suggestion that it was represented among New South Wales groups by the Bora Ring of secret initiation grounds. The Diary of Lake Erie also described the Sky Country as a beautiful and abundant place, full of trees and birds. It has also been described by some as a land of exquisite beauty, with flowers blooming everywhere, massed together in brilliant colors, like hundreds of rainbows laid out on the grass. The flowers neither faded nor died. The perception of the sky world as an eternal place of space and plenty beauty and peacefulness was not uncommon. The land of the dead. Over much of Australia, and in particular parts of the west and northwest, the spirits of the dead went to and reside in the sky world with the ancestral heroes. But as frequently, there was a specially designed earthly place of sojourn for the dead, always located well away from that of the living. Sometimes it was located at the eastern or western edge of the sky or on faraway islands. It could be located behind one or more of the fixed stars, as in Arnhem Land, where it was held to be in a cave on an island behind Barnumber, the morning star. On the island, it is believed that the spirits dance, sending out morning stars to different parts of Arnhem Land, because the spirits send out their stars attached to strings, which they pull in again at dawn. The humans imitate these actions in their morning rituals. They represent the morning star using a large pole with feathered strings and balls. In central and northeast Arnhem Land, mortuary and morning star ceremonies, known as sari business, are performed to ensure the safe passage and transition of the deceased souls to the land of the dead. The ceremonies are associated with an ancestral being known as Wulu Mumu, who it was believed hunted stingrays and gathered yams at Gakulu on Echo Island. With the vines from the yams, Wulu Mumu made the feather-covered strings that he then attached to the morning star. Barnumber, the feathered strings, are believed to guide a person's spirit or soul back to its final resting place. Wulu Mumu is capable of recalling the soul after it has finished its journey across the heavens, guided by and attached to the morning star. When the morning star is seen in the sky, it serves as a form of communication between spirits of deceased ancestors and those still living on Earth. A deceased person's spirit could also return to a particular place where he or she originated. Amongst the Yarralin, for example, One aspect of a person is identified with his or her breath or wind, and when a person dies, life leaves with the wind. If the person dies far away from home, the breath or wind can be seen as a shooting star returning to its own country. If the person dies in his own country, the wind or breath may be associated with a particular star as it passes over to another body to be born again. These people have a sky country where the spirits of the dead are people transferred with the aid of a ceremonial morning ritual. The long streaks of light from the setting sun are roads or strings on which the dead travel, escorted by custodians of the dead. A shooting star also signals death amongst the Kwaji people of eastern Cape York. The people follow the passage of the shooting star across the sky, and if at most often happens, the star merely crosses the sky. They say someone from another area has died, but if a report is heard in conjunction with the shooting star, the people know someone from their own area is dead. Amongst the amongst the Wiradjuri in northern Western Australia, yeah, I think it is Wiradjuri in the northwestern Australia, two shooting stars also indicated death, usually the death of an important man. The direction the shooting star takes indicating where the death had occurred. Amongst the Gundungurra, Gundungurra of the Blue Mountains area in New South Wales, the place of the dead was at the end of the sky towards the sea. On arrival at the other side, the spirits of the dead find a large bridge which they cross, and then dive down through a tunnel, at the end of which is a fiery mountain. They pass over and then meet their friends. The nature of stars. As to the nature of stars themselves, opinions differ. Some Aboriginal groups envisaged them as the tracks, campfires, or representations of the sky people. Others saw them as spirits of the dead, and yet others, the Wiradjuri, for example, thought that, as well as being representations of the spirits of dead men and women, they were globules of light, individual nautilus shells with fish still alive inside them. In this view, shooting stars were seen to be the result of the death of the fish and the discarding of its shell. Every star represented the spirit of some deceased Wiradjuri man or woman, while more important stars and even constellations represented objects and persons of myth. Theoretically, all individuals had a place in the sky, but the stars to which they corresponded were known only by a few Wiradjuri. Among the Walburi in the Northern Territory, there was a notion that neighboring but unknown Mudbara ancestors, heroes, chopped up the Milky Way, or parts of it, to form the individual stars of the night sky. Among the Western Aranda in Central Australia, the stars were seen to be like fires, just like fires that glint and gleam as they move along. They hover above, flashing like lightning as they burn. In what could be a humorous throwaway line, the Awabago of coastal New South Wales were heard to remark that they saw the sun, moon, and stars as originating from the headlights thrown by a man in the fire. Only high imaginative narrative explains the origin and nature of the stars. Behind the horizon, where no one has ever been, grassy valleys, someone interrupted me with a stupid phone call. Let me continue. Behind the horizon, where no one has ever been, there is a beautiful land with grassy valleys and tree-covered hills. Streams trickle down the green slopes and join together to form a broad, placid river where flowers nod their heads over. The banks, the inhabitants of that land are moons, big shining globular moons. They have no arms or legs, but they can move quickly across the grass by rolling over and over. It is a pleasant life in that green, watered land, but sometimes the moons grow restless, and when night comes, they have the urge to explore farther afield and stroll across the sky. Only one moon ever goes on such a journey at a time, but outside the valley there lives a giant. He catches the wandering moon, and with his flint knife cuts a slice from it each night, until after many nights there is nothing left but a number of shining silvers. The giant cuts them up very finely and throws them all over the sky. They are timid little creatures, the cut up moons, which have become stars. During the day, when the sun goes striding across the sky, they hide. Who knows but that, if they showed themselves then, another sun might not creep out and catch them unaware. At night, they are no suns. There are no suns. So in the velvety blackness of the night, they frolic and play until the hungry sun again stamps across the sky. Ancestral creative spirits having a bird form, which have subsequently become stars, is not an uncommon notion. According to Patty Rowe, an Aboriginal elder from the western Kimberley region, the stars came about after Daring Along, who was a monster bird, stole babies to take home in the nest and eat. Pursuing the babies, two men went to Darnlong's nest and found two eggs. They consulted with the two elders who were healers. They went back to the nest and waited for the monster bird. At dawn he returned. They attacked and spread him and the eggs. The bird subsequently turned into the stars. A similar ancestral spirit among the Kulin of Victoria is represented as the great eaglehawk, Bungo. He was a creative spirit having two wives in the sun, Binbio, the rainbow. After he had finished creating the mountains and rivers, the animals and insects, and the instructing men, he became tired of earth. So he told Belin Belin, the crow, to open the wind, which was stored in bags. The wind escaped the bags and blew Bungo and his people to the sky, where they remain now as stars. From Arnhem Land myth, Kakin, an old hawk, discovers how to make fire by twirling one stick upon another. In a subsequent dispute with the white hawk, the country was set on fire, burning a pine tree which the people have habitually used to climb up and down from the sky. So the people up in the sky at the time of the fire had to remain. Starlight, as the story goes, comes from the crystals implanted in their heads, elbows, knees, and joints. Next chapter is Stars in the Terrestrial Landscape. The landscape for Aboriginal people was seen as having been created by ancestral spirits, and in many cases, it is still imbued with their presence. Most of the myths which involve the stars have their dramatic starting points or episodes on the earth, so that all over the continent the terrestrial environment is intrin wow. The terrestrial environment is intrinsically linked with the celestial environment. Many sky-based ancestral heroes and heroines are also associated with particular places on Earth. So, for example, a painted door in the primary school at Yuendumu in Central Australia documents the notion that the sacred places on Earth fell out of the Milky Way as shooting stars. In another example, Gassé Bluff, also located in Central Australia, is seen as being the result of a group of ancestral women who were dancing across the sky as the Milky Way. When one of them put down her baby in its carrier, the carrying baby toppled over the edge of the dancing area, and both were transformed into a ring of tortured rock walls. To this day, the boy's mother and father, as the evening star and the morning star, still search for their child. What? I lost my spot. That's stupid. Come on. This thing moves all crazy. 'Cause I zoomed in on it. Do-do-do-do. Sorry about this. Ruining my video. Okay. According to the great Bruni Island storyteller, Waradi, his name's Wuradi or Wuradi. There is a large standing stone behind the great sweeping strand known as Coxbight on the far southwest of Tasmania. It is the petrified form of Moini, an important creator ancestor who cut the rivers and cleaved the land of Troania, the place we now call Tasmania. Moini, originally a gleaming white star, was a boy born to Parnuin, the sun, and his wife Vena, the moon. Moini created the first human being, but his brother Dromardine intervened to remodel the human anatomy. So furious was Moini at the intervention that he fought a tremendous battle in the heavens with Dromardine. As a result, Dromardine tumbled into the sea and Moini fell to the earth, his landfall being in the far southwest, where he then lived as a man. At Glen Helen Gap in the western MacDonnell Ranges, the stories associated with Orion and the Pleiades are represented in the rocks. The man of Orion pursued the woman of the Pleiades to these rocks, where they are clustered together in fright, desperately hoping that he would not see them. The women have since been transformed into the rocks, which cling to the side of the Finky Gorge. The oldest star took up a position where she could watch Orion's movements, and her body is now a specular outcrop of vertically bedded rocks. Despite the oldest sister's precautions, however, the man of Orion captured and, wow, I don't want to say that word, robbed. I ain't going to put the A in that. One of the women. If I say that, they're going to get mad. So he captured and did something bad to the woman. You figure it out. At the mouth of the Glen Helen Gorge, there are rows of vertical bedded rocks. It is thought that these were created by the feet of a dancing Pleiades woman as they formed a woman's ceremony. There is a myriad of these associations between celestial objects and particular terrestrial places, spread far and wide across the Australian landscape. In Queensland, in the true Thule area, a rather bare place known as Green Hill, between Gordonvale and the sea, is thought to be the site where long ago the moon, Karkura, feeling dizzy, fell from its place in the heavens. It skimmed over the thick forest from the top of the hill down into a large swamp, and there it lay, held tight despite the pulling and showing of many animals around, so exhausted that they left the moon to its fate. Enraged at being deserted, Karkura called out a vengeful curse. Henceforth, one of you shall die every second year. All the birds and animals who live near Red Bank, Wrights Creek, and Yati Station shall suffer the same fate, and never more shall the trees grow on the green hill. And it so happened, goes the story. There has been speculation about the possibility of ground recordings of celestial maps throughout the country. On the Elvina track at West Head in the Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park, for example, there is a tessellated rock platform marked by holes, which may represent the position of astronomical bodies. According to Stanbury and Clegg, 1990 to 1993, and Cairns and Rangan in 1992, the whole area may be a celestial map. Cairns and Brandigan go so far to assert that, based on ethnographic accounts, cognitive intellectual mapping did occur. Moreover, argues Cairns, abstract physical mapping of lunar phases, complemented by isomorphic representation of the star patterns, was likely and could well be found in rock engravings and paintings. This is clearly a possibility, but at this stage it is still speculative. And that's it. I don't know. I like this little PDF about the different tribes in Australia. And not many people showed up for my reading. That's surprising, considering people beg me to read. But that's cool. I appreciate the ones that are here. I don't know. I think I could have did better in this reading, but hey. I'm trying, I got to learn to just let my mind go. When I'm reading, I be thinking still, and it kind of skips me up. But you could tell when I'm in the flow and I'm not thinking. But when I start thinking about stuff, my cat be crying outside the door. It disturbs me. So I don't know. I was gonna read the Mayan one, like I said in the beginning, but it's like 63 pages. I said, man, people won't even. They're not gonna sit for that, and it'll probably take me 4 hours. Yeah, that took me almost an hour, and that's with the intro and the song or two. So basically a half hour. So that's 17 pages. What's this right here? 31 planes of existence. That's 89 pages. Elemental oracle, alchemy, science, magic. Well, I don't know. I want to know what people think of the Sky Dome and the trees they talk about. What time is it? 9:30? I personally, like I said before, man, all these people across the plane talk about the same stuff these Aboriginals do. That's why when I read the Mayan, uh you'll see a synchronism. But the names are even harder to read for the Mayans. Damn, 24 hours straight. What have you been doing? Snow removal? Yeah. Too bad there isn't more tribe doctors native. So I sure as hell don't trust these, you know, white coats, I'm gonna call them. That's for sure. Damn, where is everybody? People are probably busy. Maybe I should just end the video and then open it up. So I don't sit here and make silence and stuff. I'll end it with this the end of this book, and maybe I'll open a panel up or something. Cause I don't want to like ruin this video by just being quiet sitting here. So I'll end it and then open up another to just chop it up.